I think tech sector will be a major contributor to Chinese GDP. China has been successful in innovating and advancing existing technologies and spreading wide within the economy. But contribution to GDP or even real volume growth in the future doesn't mean a very good return for shareholders. So we should differentiate volume expansion that tech sector can achieve, in my opinion, versus delivering value to shareholders, which means delivering earnings per share. And I doubt that Chinese tech companies, largest tech companies, that constitute a big part of offshore equity index are going to deliver steady, very strong profits to shareholders. In the coming years, I don't mean in the next quarter or so.
Hello, Arthur. So that's the narrative in the immediate term, and it's very clear here in Beijing that the leadership is getting behind the tech sector. But is it a risk on the valuation side in the medium to longer term if these companies are effectively called upon to represent the national interest, effectively do national service as opposed to represent what's best for shareholders?
Yeah, that's my view, that in a long term, even in medium term, these companies will be focused what's good for nation as a whole, for China, and promoting national interest. And I think it's good for country, but not necessarily good for shareholders in the medium to long run.
Understood. And if we continue to see material degradation in US-China relations, and if it's clear that the US wants to constrain China's tech ambitions, if we see more restrictions on US exports of chips to China, then how big a risk is that?
So I think there are two types of risk. First, US doesn't want to see Chinese tech sector succeeding. So US will be considering to restrain capital flows to Chinese tech companies. So cost of equity, cost of capital for Chinese tech companies goes up. US can do it by preventing investors to invest in Chinese tech stocks or in Chinese stocks in general. So this is still a major risk in the coming months or couple of years. In the long run, I think a rivalry between US and China is about tech rivalry. And in that situation, Chinese government has to have some control over what these tech companies are going to do, which areas they are going to invest, how successful they will be developing key technologies. Chinese government cannot allow key tech companies that are instrumental to long-term success of China in competition with geopolitical competition with US. Chinese government cannot allow these companies to be run as a private companies in interest of shareholders when many of shareholders still foreign entities. So Chinese government is going to put national interest first before a shareholder interest, especially when those shareholders are international ones, international shareholders.